Today on Conversations That Convert, we're going to talk about selling in a hyperinflation market and how to update your sales process. So let's get started.
Welcome to Conversations That Convert. Every week, we'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes tackling relevant lead generation, marketing, and sales topics for remodelers, home improvement companies, and home builders. Conversations That Convert is brought to you by Builder Lead Converter, your perfect sales assistant. And now, here's Rick and Diana.
Hey, welcome to Conversations That Convert. Diana is off today, and we have a very special topic for you today called Selling in a Hyperinflation Market and Updating Your Sales Process. This is part of our series called Marketing, Selling, Designing, and Building in a Hyperinflation Market. And we have two very special guests with us today, and they are Rob Fritz and Aaron Lowe from NIH Homes. Rob and Aaron, welcome, and thanks for joining us on Conversations That Convert.
Hey, Rick.
Hi, Rick. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
hey, absolutely. It's my pleasure, all my pleasure. So let's jump right into it, guys. And we want to know about you. Who are you? How are you where you are? And what's been your journey through life to land you here talking with me on Conversations That Convert?
I'll begin. I built a house back in 2000 with a builder, and I told my wife that's what I want to do for a living at that point. So I moved to a new career and became a real estate agent and worked for that same builder. I've worked for 3 small custom builders, so I like to mainly focus on small custom luxury builders. And then recently I've been with NIH Homes now for 6 years. The main thing is small custom builders is what I like to focus on. And then I like to talk with my homeowners about how I went through the process myself. And that's why I want to help others do the same thing.
Yeah, Rob, and I think I met you, it was almost 20 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I always say that education is very helpful in so many aspects of life, but I met NIH Homes through networking at many education events. And Rick, I met you through education events as well. So education is keep on taking education.
There you go. Never stop learning. Aaron, how about you? What's been your journey through life to land you here talking with me on Conversations That Convert?
Yeah, no, I haven't been in the new construction arena for quite that long, but 2014 started with NIH and repping them. I've been a licensed realtor since 1998, but I've sold existing used homes, like we like to refer to them as
used houses. Get it right. Used houses.
Yeah, used houses for a long time, but was fortunate enough to meet the owners, NIH and Jeremy, and collaborate with them, starting in Cedar Crest and Terra Vista, some of our neighborhoods here, not too far away where we're working currently, in Plymouth Maple Grove, back 6-8 years ago now. So time flies, but real estate's always been a passion of mine. I went to college, St. Cloud State, graduated with a real estate finance degree and sold real estate part-time. So I've been driving people in my car, showing homes for forever, for half my life, feels like. So
yeah, and it's still a good part of your business.
Yeah.
Right. Selling used houses. And I should bring everyone up to speed as far as context. You guys are located in the Twin Cities of Minnesota. Specifically, you work on the northwest suburbs, and the builder's name is NIH Homes. Combination of semi-custom homes up to one-of-a-kind custom homes. And what's the price points you typically build in?
I would say our median price point now is probably a 1.2, and we can, I guess, expand upon that given the topic today, but it's definitely increased significantly in the last few years here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's good just for everyone to understand is that I think the majority of your customers probably are true semi-custom. They're picking one of your plans and they're doing some tweaks to it. But then there are a select few that are going to really sort of design from scratch.
Right.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the topic of the day, which is selling in a hyperinflation market and updating your sales process. So neither of you are brand new to this. You've been around the block. I think it's fair to say that the market that we currently find ourselves in, or some of the conditions we find ourselves in, are new to us. Nobody has really experienced anything like this before, as far as it relates to pricing volatility, carrier delays with supply chain, and just difficulty finding labor, which of course affects how you are selling and how you're working with your customers to take them through the design build process, as well as selling. You sell spec homes too, correct?
Right.
Yeah, exactly right, Rick. I think, every builder has a process, and our process is more catered to that style, the semi-custom, and it makes it a lot easier for the customer to feel in touch what we can do when we operate out of a model or a sales floor that we have,
and a sort of a known known entity, which would be the floor plan, and be able to walk through those. So what I'd like to do is just walk through your sales process as it starts from that first meeting, getting to contract, and what has been changed. So Rob, why don't you kick us off? You're the veteran here. You've been doing this a long time. But that first meeting when you have, and let's just say it's a site visit, not just a phone call, how are things different today than they were, say, 5 years ago, or even, say, 3 years ago?
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Well, I'm going to rewind and I'm going to use a phone call as the beginning, because I was thinking about that. Mainly what's happening, okay, so web leads are coming through a website. There's much more urgency. I think the urgency and the emotion has really heightened. So the customers are feeling super urgent. They probably lost bids on 2 or 3 used houses. They know that the new houses are few and far between. So there's a lot of urgency and emotion with them. And many of them in the past, we respond on email, we would respond on text, and just have more time to respond. But now what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to make sure I get them on the phone right away. Number one, to hear their emotion and to spark emotion from our side to help add to the urgency. So they already have so much urgency right now. So if you get on the phone and add to that, between price increases, between scarcity. So right now, what's new for me is I'm on the phone more. I'm trying to get them on the phone more. If they set an appointment for the end of the week to be on the phone, I say, hey, can we talk now? Because this is a very timely market. So I'm already setting the tone that everything's so important to move ahead faster and to make decisions sooner on land, and that we're running out of it, and the prices are going up. And so, yeah, my main thing is I'm trying to get them on the phone sooner and spark emotion.
So not wait, Rob, is what you're saying. And just to bring a little context to that, lead comes in. Our goal is to book an appointment with them on the phone for you guys, goes on your calendar. And what I heard you saying is that you will then reach out to them right away and say, hey, let's not wait. Let's talk sooner than later, because time is of the essence. Right.
So I'm already setting the tone that timing is important. I'm already setting the tone so then in these meetings, so then let's just say that we have meetings. So we move fast forward into meetings. Again, always talking about price increases and limited lots, limited land, just making sure they know the urgency even sooner. So number one, they know they got to make a faster decision. I'm looking out for them, really, so I let them know they don't have time to wait.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So you're setting the stage right away. So you're essentially using the market conditions to your advantage, and then I don't know if the right word is piling on, but you're just sort of reinforcing that, look, you can't go slow on this. You got to go fast, so you don't potentially lose out again.
Yeah, right. And really, I'm not doing it to my advantage only. I'm doing it to their advantage. Honestly, if I want to work with them, I need them to make decisions sooner, or I'm going to lose their opportunity.
Yep, absolutely. And how many people do you typically talking to in an average week?
Maybe one every other day. That's an A lead. We try to make sure it's somebody that's a match. So maybe 5 a week that are a potential match.
Okay. So lots of phone calls, you sort of set the stage, and then from there you move into your meeting them on site at a model home or some sort of physical location.
Right.
Okay. Aaron, how about you? Same question.
Yeah, no, I think Rob brought up some great points. I think for us being a smaller luxury builder that still caters and does the semi-custom build and offers that process to prospects, we have limited availability in terms of slots for new customers. And one of the advantages we have at NIH versus our competitors is we have our own employees, our own framers, our own trimmers, interior designer. We have an owner on site daily, and like Rob said, figuring out if they're a match. So you're really doing some evaluating with the client. If they're just looking for something rushed and more like a larger big box semi-custom builder, which there are plenty out there that can get that done quickly, but maybe not to the highest quality, we're probably not the best match. And NIH is unique in that regard. I mean, we have, for one, the market has been robust for a long time. So there are many qualified prospects out there. But through the journey, which is building, you have to figure out if they're the right build partner to collaborate. And, we're not a spec builder. Our strength is sitting down, listening, making sure that our clients refer us business in the future and have a great experience. And through people like Teresa, our interior designer, who I've only seen 5 out of 5 star reviews, and every customer I have raves about the experience with her. We can really showcase that aspect of it, but until they know someone that has been through the process, that is much more validating for NIH. And I think in these communities, they're all intertwined. People know one another. They have kids in sports. They go to church together, schools together. That's our perfect customer, is someone that was a referral and or comes through the website like Rob mentioned and has heard great things about NIH. I mean, that's really who we want to work with and slot into a future build, being we only have a limited number of space.
So if I were to sum up what both of you just told me, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities out there. As you mentioned, there's a lot of qualified prospects. You're talking to potentially 4 to 5 people a week. But it sounds like one thing that you have done is you've probably even upped your qualifying to where you're trying to disqualify more people up front that are maybe not the right fit, or you're getting some red flags before moving them into that face-to-face conversation. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's a very transparent, just being really straightforward. I think there are people out there that just building is not the best option for them. And
or building with NIH with your
exactly. They might not be patient or have the right personality to be a good match with NIH.
You mentioned patient. Is that one of the red flags? Somebody that's really impatient right now that you might say, hey, this is not a good fit?
I think mostly because that there are so few available opportunities out there, whether it be existing used homes or spec homes, or nice sites, nice walkout lots to build on. People have high expectations. They want it all now, and I think that's just how society is in general. And there is an element of patience involved in building. I mean, they're especially through this supply chain and COVID pandemic that we've been through.
Okay. Rob, anything you want to add to that as far as red flags that you see right now where you might disqualify somebody and maybe tell them that politely that, hey, we're maybe not the best fit?
Well, I think it leads into the price increases. I think it leads into the fact that are they realistic about their price? I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, that's probably number one that Aaron and I are trying to work through as people call, and they're nice people, and they can be up to $1 million and all this other kind of stuff. But realistically, if they can't, number one, handle the price range now, or if they're really tight, and we haven't talked with the lender. So, okay, that's the other thing, making sure that our people talk with the lender sooner. Okay, we want to make sure that they can handle, because from the time they're meeting us now, Rick, okay, so this is another thing. I mean, from the time they're meeting us until the time we get our pricing done, there is 2, 3, 4, 5 price increases, pretty impactful ones nowadays. It's not just $2,000 up. It's, like in a 90-day process, it can be $100,000
Wow.
based on what they're doing. So we have to make sure these people can handle that extra amount that will be on top of wherever they think they're beginning.
Yep, they've got a buffer, or at least have the ability to absorb that. So let's go to, so first one's a phone call. Next one is, say, that face-to-face meeting. You're meeting at one of your model homes or having that physical meeting. How has it changed when you are, so Aaron, you talked about making sure this is the right fit for the builder because you guys have a certain way of building and there's certain things that people like about you. Rob, you talked about patience, Aaron, and Rob, you also talked about being able to go quickly and make a decision. But what do you do differently now when you're face to face with them? Like, how do you set the expectations? As an example, it's going to take 90 days to get through this process, and your price might go up $100,000. How do you set those expectations up front to make sure that people understand what most likely will happen and still want to continue to proceed forward? Because there's a lot of good faith, I got to imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a trust factor. Thankfully, I mean, nowadays, a lot of it is embedded in terms of the psyche of people that come in to the build process, that lumber is going to be more, that there's supply chain issues, that there are going to be price increases. So we're really just validating or reinforcing the fact that that's our reality. Is it's a moving target for the owner, for Colt, and as a controller, it's a very difficult job right now because it could be one price in May, and then in June it's significantly more in just a short period of time. So I think through collaborating with the lender, and we have a few preferred lenders that are very good at preparing the prospect for budget and what to expect, and just having those tough conversations up front is very helpful. We want to avoid surprises, and with the price increases, a lot of it is inevitable, and there's just no way around it. But if we can prepare them for that potential, then they're not caught off guard.
Okay. Rob, same question for you.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, again, like I said, and like Aaron said, the lender pre-approval. But if I'm meeting with them and we're at the model, again, I'm setting the tone that that this market isn't for everybody. I usually highlight the model that we're in if it's not sold yet, and say, just for an example, I mean, if you like this home, there'd be some benefits to owning it because it's yesterday's pricing. And I know we've talked about that in the past, but we're talking about it sooner now. Yesterday's pricing is better than it'll be if you build. So we're making sure we talk about that, and that's helped move some models. So that's helping to move the inventory right now because people know, because we tell them that it was pricing from 6 months ago, and so. And then if they want to build, we're just letting them know that, price increases. So we talk about price increases. We don't be shy about it. I know not too long ago, you didn't really want to, talk about the elephant in the room. Now we want to talk about it. We want to make sure we let them know that that's part of the process. So just to set expectations. So there's, price increases, and then timing. We make sure we let them know about timing. So we set expectations so they're not upset later, and so they're a happy customer.
You build spec homes as well as doing pre-solds, and I know historically it's been pre-solds first and spec homes second. Do you find that most of the prospects you're working with today prefer to buy a spec home versus build?
What do you think, Aaron?
Oh, I think, you definitely want to have a balance there and to accommodate that out-of-town builder or the out-of-town buyer, excuse me, because relocation is still a small percentage of our business, even especially now post-COVID. So, but I would just go back to what I said earlier. I think the strength of NIH is the build and the customization and certainly having that to complement your business. The spec home side is it's critical too. You got to have both pieces.
So just to rephrase the question though, if you take 10 prospect meetings, do you find that more than 5 of those people would prefer to buy a spec versus go through the building process right now because of the pricing volatility? Or do you still have the majority of those prospects want to build and then the spec is sort of their fallback?
Yeah, I think most would want to customize the spec so they don't have to wait over.
Oh, okay. So they want the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, that's number one. They want the best of both, and to be able to make those changes, which we typically can't do anymore because the lead times on products. But if the site isn't as important to them, then a spec home, they're going to prefer a spec 9 out of 10 times.
Okay.
And if a lot is important to them, then they have the ability to wait, then a build is more than likely.
Okay. And Rob, so you talked about the elephant in the room is pricing. Let's just shift gears a little bit here and go a little bit deeper into the sales process. Obviously, the first question out of virtually every single lead's mouth is how much? How much is this going to cost me? Which you guys are telling me, well, we can't tell you, right? We don't have a plan yet. We don't have a lot. We haven't spec'd it out. I know the process you go through is where you sort of determine if they're going to be a custom build versus a semi-custom. Assuming that they are semi-custom, then you'll find them a plan. You'll take notes. You come back with a preliminary set of specifications, and then there's some sort of a budget range at that point. So take it from there.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. So I guess, yeah, I mean, I think the main idea there is that, we have models that are up. Okay, so we have models and we have customer homes that are up. So as much as possible, we want to bring people through houses that are up and being built and tell them a range of where this house is. Okay, so this range, this house is an example 1.3. This house, the model we're in is 1.4. And the lot price. We kind of get the tone of where. Okay, so they've walked through a few houses. They've seen the finishes. They get an idea of where that house is, and then again, like I said, we add on to it and say, okay, this is yesterday's pricing, so it's going to be something like this, but a little bit more. So I think walking through houses, either a custom build or the model, obviously helps to set the tone on pricing. And then, with us, we do as much as possible, all included with what was in the model, and then we just option out their specialty items. And anything in the house plan that we do later, then we just keep itemizing and updating with options. But so we give them a range of where to begin based on the model and what's in the model. What's
that range? Are we talking 10%? Like a 1.3 house, is it $130,000 range, or is it bigger?
Oh no, we've been doing like a $25,000 range off.
Oh, so it's a pretty tight range. Okay, even with pricing volatility, you still will get that tight.
Yeah, we do a tighter range. I guess I don't know. I guess it depends. Like you said, if it's full custom, and then Aaron's done a few that are full custom recently. That probably $100,000 range would be most important in that one. But on a semi-custom, if they like the house that we're in, or a house like it with all the same amenities, I think a 25 range has been what we've been doing. But like you said, it's been ending up, it can be higher, like you said. So I usually let them know that it can be higher.
So Aaron, I just want to clarify, prior to March of 2020, before we had all the hyperinflation, someone wanted to build semi-custom, you could essentially say this model is this much, that includes these finishes, and then if you wanted to add this, this, and this, you would sort of make a wants and wish list. You'd itemize those out, and you could more or less give them a price within a day or a couple of days, right? You say, here's your price, and this price is good for a certain amount of time. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You could really dial that in prior to COVID. I mean, and that was really helpful to be precise on the duplication of a spec or model. And then obviously pick your lot being the variable, the site. So client really appreciates that. But even now, if you're spending $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, $25,000 to $50,000 range is very palatable to the prospect.
Yeah, because you're still looking at, I mean, that's a 0.25%. I mean, less than that, really. You get into $2 million range. So what I want to get at is that before you would narrow down the price relatively quickly, and then they had a certain amount of time that they would have to go to contract. Now you're trying to narrow it down to that $25,000 to $50,000 range. But just walk us forward a little bit now. When do you give the price, in today's market, and what does that look like as far as timing, contracts versus like starting? Just walk us through that.
Right. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. So we certainly used to do pricing earlier and have a firm pricing. So now we're doing a range, like I said, and then we're doing the plan design as a concept, just a concept, and then we're doing another range. Okay, so like in the past, like you said, Rick and Aaron, in the past we would have had a fine-tuned number even then, and but then we're doing a letter of intent is what we're doing as a company, saying, okay, we have another range for you. It looks like this is more, this is a closer range. Yet we can't lock in prices. So I think, Rick, what you're saying is we can't lock in prices now at the lumberyard till 60 days before we build. So we have to again tell them again, okay, even though even though your house plan is almost done as a concept, we don't know your price exactly yet because we can't lock in prices at the lumberyard. They're not letting us until we're 60 days out from the build. So yeah, we have to keep that open pocketbook, so to speak, and that open range going right up until we can lock them in 60 days before. So that's definitely new. We never had to do that before.
And Rob, you said something kind of interesting, and I want to make sure the audience doesn't miss this, is that even though it's a semi-custom build, you're still gathering a design deposit to do like a conceptual plan with the changes as they've requested. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
for sure.
So they put down money for the concept plan, and that's non-refundable money, if I remember correctly. Yep. Yes. So then you narrow the range even more once that concept plan is done. But then the next thing they have to do is they go to a letter of intent, which they're putting down more money again.
Yep.
More non-refundable.
Non-refundable.
Okay. And that carries them through until they go to contract, where they get their final price. And that contract comes out 60 days before you would actually start construction.
Right. And then at that point, we can have a firm price that's not a range anymore.
Yep. And I think you don't have escalation clauses in your contract, right? That is the price. You'll guarantee those numbers unless there's some sort of an allowance, like a selection number. Is that right?
That is correct. Right.
Okay. And I think that's tied to purchase orders. So lumber's being ordered, all the other selections are being ordered to try to lock in those prices. And so therefore you wait until you have to order them, then that's where you can give them the prices fixed. So this, it's very interesting. If I can summarize here a little bit, is that what I'm hearing is like you set expectations right away to make sure that you're going to have pricing volatility. It could be as much as $100,000 based on the price point you guys are at, which in your case, it's, that could be 7.5 to even, maybe 8%. Maybe as little as 5% if it's a $2 million home. So 5 to 8% volatility. Then you just keep narrowing. But when you narrow, you're actually getting additional commitments from the lead, right? They're putting down additional monies to go from design to letter of intent and then to contract, all non-refundable. So you really are, part of the sales process is you really are making sure that people are committed and understand the issues. So last question here for each of you. Now we're about 2 years into it, because if you remember when things shut down on March of 20, like, remember the market went to nothing. It's like it just stopped completely, right? You couldn't, Aaron, you couldn't show a home. You couldn't come into my home. Everyone's locked in their houses. People started to buy stuff sight unseen online, or build things sight unseen online. Now we're roughly 2 years removed from that, where we've seen this really high demand. Tell us, what are some of your biggest learning curves? Some of the things where, whether it's just in behavior changes of buyers, or Rob, you mentioned that there's people come into it and there's kind of a little bit of sense of a panic almost, or there's so much urgency because maybe they've lost out on something, or there's the fear of loss. But what have been the biggest learning curves that each of you have seen over the last 2 years? And how do you take those lessons you've learned and apply them to what you're doing right now?
Well, yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
I think in terms of, don't underestimate amenities, and going through COVID, even halfway through, people realized that their lifestyle was they need more space, they need a home with more amenities. And I think if you're building a spec home, it's a prerequisite now in our area, in Plymouth, Maple Grove, Wayzata Schools, to have a sport court and bonus rooms, 4-car garages, communities with a pool. You work from home, you need an office, you need space for that virtual office. And these things aren't going away. And it just reinforced to me the importance of those amenities and going into the future.
Okay, so even with prices going up, don't discount that people still want all the bells and whistles, and they're willing to pay for it.
Very much so. Yeah, I think if you're going to go through that, and even if it isn't a forever home, there's a reason why you're making that transition, and why not do it into something that you're like we're doing now. We're at home a lot of the time, and you can work from home. So make sure there's adequate space for your family and accommodate that lifestyle.
Okay. Yeah, very good. Rob, how about you?
Yeah, piggyback on that a little bit to begin with is the house plan design. So that has evolved. So the bonus room has been added. Remember for a while there was a Zoom room, Rick, but now obviously people want this extra space. I mean, they're at home more. So the house plan designs have evolved since 2020 with extra spaces, more flex rooms, more offices. Both people might be working from home now. So the house plan designs, and then I think it all comes back to, I think initially when the market woke up and when it was such an urgent market, you can get into an order taking mode with this thing, whether you're a national big box builder that's used to that. We're not used to that, but I think for a while there, it felt like, it was an order taking situation. And what I have to keep reminding myself is that, these people need that same hand holding, the listening, the relationship part of it, listen to their emotions, helping them levelize their emotions or spark their emotions. That it's still about the relationship, and you got to make sure you're listening and not just moving too fast. I know we've talked about, letting them know things are moving fast, but from our role, we got to make sure we're still listening the same we did before. And so I think the relationship has evolved to be maybe even more, because they're in such a hurry. I have to tell, okay, just stop for a minute. Tell me why you're moving in the first place. Because I think they're in this auction mentality, this herd mentality, and sometimes they aren't sure why they're moving. And they got to, especially if we're doing a house plan design, we got to know, okay, why are you moving? What do you need?
Yeah, sure. It's interesting in that, you mentioned relationship, because I know you are the king of relationships, and Aaron can vouch for that. Is that Rob? You don't let go until that horse is dead and buried, right? But the thing that we forget is that the sales cycle has been extended. It does. Everything takes longer right now, so you really are in a relationship longer. So the trust factor, Aaron, you brought this up early on. So important to establish that early on, because it's a haul. You're with them. I mean, from the time you first meet them to the time they actually move in, 12, 18 months, right? In a lot of cases. And especially, I know right now you guys have a pretty healthy backlog. In fact, here we are in May. I think I remember the owner of the company, Jeremy, talking about we pretty much have all the slots filled up for this year. We're new people coming in now. We wouldn't be able to start them until first quarter of 2023. So it's a very, very long haul. But guys, your wealth of great information here and knowledge, and I really appreciate you sharing kind of what you've learned and giving some of the viewers and listeners an idea on that higher end custom, semi-custom builder, what has changed as far as the way you guys operated from your sales process. So thank you very much for sharing your wisdom, and appreciate you having on. We're going to have you on again as well, talking maybe more about realtor relationships. And so it's been a lot of fun. But again, Aaron Lowe, Rob Fritz, NIH Homes, and you can find their website, nihhomes.com. Located primarily in the northwestern part of the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So until next time, thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.